It has been an interesting year in the Charlotte real estate market of 2024. And so in this video, I am going to talk about the projections for 2025 and how the Charlotte real estate market stands up to this current market, as well as we are going to look at some trends of how the real estate market is performing between September and since the beginning of this year. So first, I want to thank you to all who have liked, commented, and subscribed. I've received some valuable feedback from many people saying that they have found tons of insight from the videos that I've shared. So I want to thank you for your feedback and for continuing to watch and support. And also let me know any questions that you have so that way I can do videos that are meeting your needs and answering your questions. But let's dive right in. I'm so excited to talk about the real estate market and how is it comparing this year, as well as what it's going to look like next year. So let me just share my screen really fast so that way we can get on to the trends. All right, so first, how is the real estate market going to hold up in 2025? I'm actually excited about 2025 because 2024 has been an interesting year. This year, we have seen interest rate decreases. And so even with those decrease in the interest rates, we did see some more activity in the market. We saw more home sellers starting to test the market by placing their house on the market. So we saw an increase in inventory. We also did see an increase in activity of home buyers beginning their house hunting journeys, submitting offers, and closing on their houses. So we did see some market activity pick up, but it wasn't the uptick that I think we were anticipating. And there's a lot of different factors that's playing a role in why the market possibly didn't pick up as much as we thought it was going to. And so, one, people are still looking for that unicorn interest rate. And unfortunately, that unicorn interest rate may not come back around unless another catastrophe happened again. And we are not wishing that on anyone. So home buyers are now starting to realize that, hey, I don't think we're going to see the interest rates in the 2% and 3% and even possibly the 4%. Right now, we're holding steady in the 5s up to 6s. And so we are actually lower than the historical interest rate average. The historical interest rate average has been 7.73%, and we are under that. So interest rates are favorable for anyone who is looking to make a move. And guess what? While prices are still holding steady, right now, if you capitalize on purchasing a house in its current interest rate, when interest rates do decide to come down, you can refinance into a better interest rate, but at least you had secured your home at a pricing that was stable for the current market. Because if you wait for the market to, or if you wait for the interest rates to decrease again, home prices are going to continue going up. So what you're waiting for, you're going to end up possibly paying more than if you had made a move and purchased now with an interest rate and refinance later, rather than waiting until interest rates drop while home prices are going up. So projections for 2025, we are anticipating the Charlotte region to see a lot of activity when it comes to sellers selling and home buyers buying. And that will be due to the holiday seasons are over. And the elections are over. So people are waiting for the elections to be over, and then people are waiting for the holiday season to be over. And then they're kind of sitting on the sidelines seeing what interest rates are going to do again. But between those three things, next year, we can see some strong activity in the housing market. We will also see more sellers enter the market. Since spring is that favorable time of year that sellers think is the best time to sell. So between the interest rates, and spring being just a season where sellers want to capitalize in the market, we will see some strong activity next year. But let's take a look at some of these trends. All right, so what we are looking at the Charlotte region, which also includes some of the suburbs outside of the city of Charlotte. So this can include Waxhaw, Weddington, Marvin, Concord, Huntersville, Mooresville, Gastonia, Monroe, Mint Hill. So the region in a whole is what we're looking at. And I have narrowed it down to single family houses because I want this to be a more narrowed focus on how we're looking at the numbers. Because if we include townhouses, condominiums, and multifamily, those are a whole nother different kind of housing sector. And I don't want it to skew the numbers and what we're looking at. So we are just looking at single family today. If you have questions about single families or condos, please connect with me and I would be more than happy to review that data with you. All right, so we are going to start with the sales price because everyone always wants to know how is the market in Charlotte. So what I'm also going to do is we are going to look at pre-pandemic as well. So we're going to look at 2019. We're going to look at 2023, and we're going to look at 2024 because I do kind of want to look at pre-pandemic so we can see how we compared before that unicorn interest rate came about. All right, so currently with, and so this is as of September 2024, the average sales price for the real estate, Charlotte real estate region is $501,647. And so compared to last September 2023, it was $473,557. So we've seen an increase between September of 2023 to September 2024. And so that was about a $30,000 increase just within that year's time frame. All right, and so let's look at September 2019. So this was before we got the news. September 2019, the average sales price in the Charlotte region was $310,454. So from 310, September 2019, all the way up to 501. That is almost a $200,000 increase between 2019 and 2024. And so as you as you can see, this graph is showing that the market housing prices are continuing to steadily increase. There's not much of a drop. There's not much of a dip, a crash. There has been some stabilization here where housing prices have held steady between January, February of this year to November. And then that was 2023. And then prices began to increase this year again as the housing interest rates took a drop. So as you can see over the years, the home prices have increased, and we do anticipate to see just that going into 2025 as home buyers and home sellers become normalized with the interest rates being in the fives. They're ready to make their move so that they can begin their next chapter. And so there will be more competition next year in 2025. And that will also possibly continue to drive the prices up, depending on if more inventory does not hit the market. All right, so let's look at the number of homes for sale. Why is this important? The number of homes for sale is a supply and demand factor that plays a role in supply and demand. And so if you have less supply of a thing, then that means that the pricing will more than likely increase as the demand for that thing increases. So that's pretty much what we have seen over the last few years. You can see how low the amount of housing available for sale was in 2022. And so since there was such few houses available for sale, that is what caused home prices to also increase over that time period leading up to now. So before the news in 2020, going back to 2019, the real estate market had 9,252 houses available for sale. And this is for just single family homes in the Charlotte region. And so that was here. Let me go back a few years. Let me go back so that we can see. So we were looking at 2019. And so you guys can see a whole 10 years from 2024, 2014, on average, it was between 14 to 15,000 homes for sale. And then that number decreased down to 9,000 homes for sale. And now here in 2024, we are at around 6,300 homes for sale, 6,334 single family homes for sale. And so that's where we are seeing this low supply with market demand is causing an increase in home prices. Plus that unicorn interest rate in 2020 to 2022 also caused home prices to go up. All right, so let's take a look at the days on market. So the days on market tells us when a house is first listed on the market for sale and then it goes under contract, that time period is considered the days on market. So we're looking at the gap between how long does it take for a house to be listed on the market for sale to go under contract. So let's start 10 years ago. 10 years ago, let's do 10 years ago, September of 2024. It took on average 91 days for a house to go under contract once it was listed. So that was 91 days that it took for a house to go under contract. So before the news, it was about 46 days. So that number drastically decreased between 96 to about 46 days that it took for a house to go under contract. And that means that it received an offer, the seller received an offer, the seller accepted that offer, and the house went pending under contract, and they're moving towards closing on that house for the new home buyer. And so, so surprisingly, in 2020, I think we were still working out things with COVID. And so it took some time still for houses to go under contract. But after we got that unicorn interest, then things became like, okay, we need to go ahead and buy a home because interest rates are low. home prices are low and this is a great time to buy, we started seeing a decrease in the amount of time that it took for a house to sell. So going down to into the 30 days, all the way down in 2022 to about 15 days it took for a house to sell. And we started seeing an uptick in how long it took for houses to sell beginning September of 2022. And so now we are at, on average, 34 days that it takes for a house, once it's listed, to receive an offer that the seller is willing to accept and go under contract. So that way it can move towards the closing table. So 34 days is a lot better than the 90 days that we saw in 2014. So after looking at days on market, let's check out the month supply, because month supply lets us know how many, on average, about how many houses are on the market if no new houses was listed for sale, and how long would it take for those houses to sell. So going back to 2014, September 2014, it was about 6 months. It would take 6 months to sell all of the houses that was listed on the market for sale if no new houses came on the market. And so it would take about 6 months to sell this about 15,000 houses. All right, going to before in 2019, it would take on average 2.5 months to sell all of the houses, and that was about 9,000 houses in 2019. And so going to, let's just look at 2022 when it was starting to change for the real estate industry. So September 2022, we are looking at about 1 month it would take to sell all of the houses that was on the market. And then currently we're back up to about 2.5 months it would take to sell all of the houses, and we have about 6,000 houses on the market right now. All right, and so let's look at how many showings it would take before a house went under contract. Now, this is I love sharing this with my clients, because when they're looking to make a decision about selling their house, how fast would it sell? How many days would it take to sell? Also, how many showings, how many tours would it take before we receive that serious motivated buyer who was ready to make an offer on the home and the seller was willing to accept that offer? So on average, let's take a look. So back in 2014, it took about 15 home tours, scheduled appointments for buyers to come through and take a look at a house before that one serious buyer came and made an offer and the seller was willing to accept that offer to move to closing. So that was in September 2014, about 15 showings. And it's interesting that it held steady through 2019 and 2021. And so in 2022, it went down to about 14 showings. And so now in 2024, about 13 showings. So it's telling us that right now in 2024, it takes less people to come and see your home before an offer is made and your house goes under contract. And so what that means, based on all the data that we have looked at, it's showing us that with the limited amount of inventory, that means home sellers, they have less competition compared to other home sellers that are selling on the market. So they have less competition. So their house is standing out. Motivated buyers are ready to make that decision and move forward. And it's taking few people to come and see your house before you get that offer that makes sense and you're ready to accept it and move forward to the closing table. All right, so that is pretty much it in a nutshell. I just wanted to look at these trends so that way you guys have an idea of what's been going on over the past few months. We looked at sales price, average sales price. We saw a steady increase in sales price. And nationwide in 2025, we are anticipating an increase in sales price of about 2%. Here in the Charlotte region, we've seen an increase a steady increase of about 3% to 9%, depending on where your house is located, location. So we do anticipate our home prices to continue increasing. Also, the Charlotte region has now over 113 people who are moving to the market each day. So the competition is here and active. What we're seeing as far as the home buyers are being picky and more selective about the house that they buy because the financials are more tight. It takes more money to buy the house that they originally envisioned. And so now home buyers are having to readjust their thinking and their vision of what they had for a home and do what makes sense financially. And so they are being more particular when it comes to the house and the offers that they are presenting. But if you have a question about your market, your house, your neighborhood, whether you are buying or selling, please reach out. I'm more than happy to run through the numbers and what it looks like for you with your personalized home buying or home selling strategy. Alicia Askew, your trusted and dedicated realtor with Coldwell Banker. Continue to make it a great day.